In this video, we're going to use all of this collision detection code inside this update method that we have created in the previous video. So all of these methods we have specified in the previous video. But first we need to fix some issues that we actually faced when we run our application. The first is actually we have specified the wrong code inside the right wall collision detection method. So here instead of table height, we need to use a mTable width. And then we need to make a perfect spacing. And also here I have made a typo. This is not an error, this is just a typo. Check collision with top or bottom wall. So now everything is fine. Now it's time to use all this code inside the update method. So first I'm going to delete that. Also inside the draw method we need to specify one line of code to actually call this game thread method. Like this method we have created. This is a set score text method. We need to call inside this. So I'm going to close this Pong activity. Inside it we need to specify one line of code. So here I will be using a mGame object.set, and we need to set the score text, all this method, and here we need to pass the two parameters. The first is a string. The first is a string dot value of, and then we need to here pass the mPlayer dot score. Then we need to specify the comma. Again we need to call the string dot value of, and then we need to pass here opponent dot score. So this will actually update the values, means give a 1 point to our player or either our opponent. Now coming back to the update method, just remove this comment. Now we are going to use the collision detection code according to the condition. So I will be using the else if statements because we need to do a multiple collision detection code and only one condition can be executed at a time. So here I will be using a check collisions for player, and then we need to pass the mPlayer object and a mBall object. If it is a case, we need to handle the collision properly. So handle collision method, instead of that we need to pass the mPlayer and mBall. So this particular will handle the collision for our player and ball. Then to specify the else if condition, check collision. Again to call the check collisions for player because our opponent is also of type player class. So here we need to specify the player. Then again we need to pass here a mBall. So not mPlayer, we need to here pass a opponent because we are actually going to check the collision between our opponent racket and a ball. Then again here we are using a handle collision method and pass the opponent comma mBall. So these are the two conditions. So these two will actually handle the collision between our player racket and opponent racket along with ball. Then we need to specify the else if condition again, and here we need to check for the condition for the top wall and bottom wall. And this one actually not going to accept a parameter, so we don't need to specify any parameter. So we need to change the velocity. So here we need to change the velocity of the ball. So the top and bottom wall are actually on the y-axis because it's actually residing in the vertical dimension. So here we need to minus the mBall width dot velocity y. So we are actually decreasing the value and also increasing the value simultaneously. Then we need to specify another else if condition, and instead of that check collision with left wall. This method is also not going to accept any parameter, and here we need to specify the mGame, which is our object of our thread class, which is a game thread class object. We need to call the set state method, and instead of the set state we need to call the state, which is a game thread dot state lose, because in the left wall when our ball gets hit on the left wall means it's actually a goal. So our player actually lose a 1 point. That is the reason we are actually setting the state to lose. And also you can see at the top, if I will specify all the state, these are all of type public and static. That is the reason with the class name of the class this can be called easily. Then we need to again specify here a else if condition, and then here we need to specify the check collision with right wall, and then again we need to specify the mGame object. So and then to set the state, and then here we need to specify the state. So we need to specify the state win. So what this means, if actually our ball hit on this racket, player racket, and goes to the right wall, that means we made a 1 point, means user made a 1 point, which is our player. So we need to increase the state to win. So we need to specify the state to win and increase the 1 point. And after that, inside of all of this we need to specify the return statement, and here inside of that also need to specify the return statement so that we can again start the game. Okay guys, so that's now the completion of the code inside the update method for detecting the collision and handling the collisions. In the next video, we're going to specify the code for our state so that we can run our application inside the physical device. So thank you for watching guys. See you in the next video. In this video, we're going to use the remaining states that we have actually declared at the top of this game thread.java class we need to use all of these states inside the set state method. So the remaining states are our left, that is winning state, lose state, and our pause state. But before that, we need to create the string inside our string.resource file, which is our string.xml file. So let's open our string.xml file from the values directory, and here we need to create some strings. So the first string that we want is actually of type, so I will be using a state and just closing this tag, and here we need to specify the ready, and also we need to here specify the mode to display the text for the win. So here I will specify a U1, and then we need to duplicate that again, and here we need to specify the loss. So it's a mode underscore loss, and then here we need to specify U loss, and after that we need to specify another string, and here we need to specify the mode pause, and then here we need to specify the text which is a pause. Now why I am using here a ready string again? The reason is that when we hide the text inside the Pong activity, then we again need to display this ready text. So for that we need to call this text again inside the GameThread class here when the status is ready. So first we need to call here a setup new round method, and here we need to call the hide status method. Now the third case that is actually a case, and the third case is actually a state win. So when we win a game, so we need to call here a set status method. So we need to call here a set status text method, and instead of that we need to use this res variable to get the string resources. So res dot string parameter path. So r dot string dot, and then here we need to specify the mode win. Also we need to set up a new round. So first we need to call here a Pong table object dot, and then we need to call the get player, because we need to set the data, we need to update the score for the player, because our player is actually win the game. So we need to call the score variable, and just we need to increment the value of the score. Similarly we need to again call this same state, just we need to change the constant name. So at this point we are actually using a state which is a lose state, and at this point we need to just simply update the value for our opponent, which is our get opponent, and then here we need to use the text which is mode loss. So this will actually update the score for the opponent case, because our player gets lost 1 point. And then the last state, that is our pause state. So case, and here we need to specify the state paused. Make sure we are in the perfect formatting way, and then we need to here specify the set status text is going to, like again we need to use the res directory, res dot get string, then provide the path of the string which is mode paused, and finally we need to specify the break statement. Also guys, when we win the state we need to again set up a new round, means one round is completed. So again here we need to call the setup new round method, and similarly in case of loss, when you lose the game we again need to restart the game. So for that we need to set up a new round which will again set up the table and again place the balls and there's all the necessary things. So that marks the completion of the code inside the GameThread class. Now finally the code is completed. It's time to run the application to see whether our code is working or not. So I'm going to run the application to my physical device. I already connected my physical device to my system. So now our application is installing, it's now launching, and now you can see our application gets started. So if I just show you the screen, so this is the application, this is the main screen of our application. If I click on start game, now I'm not going to use the cursor because I'm going to interact with the device with my thumbs. So I'm going to just tap on the screen. So you can see now the game is started, and I can now interact with the ball, and you can see now our rackets are interacting with the ball and reflecting the racket to the different direction. Also our top and bottom ball is also working fine. Then you can see now the game is become faster and I lose the game. So our AI is very smart. It's very easily to able to handle the game. I'm not able to, so the game is slow. Again I got lost 2 points. I never made any strike, a score. So our AI is smart. So I made a 1 point. So I beat the AI for the first time. So you can see, and now I again beat the AI. And yeah, third time. So I beat the AI. And this is now the AI is actually beating. I am now leading with the 1 point. So yeah. Yes. Okay, so now the game is become faster. You can see now the ball is actually moving very fast. So when the game become fast, you will not able to win the game through AI because AI speed is also increased. You can see how fast this AI is moving. You can see now, oh, okay, so I made another point. So yeah guys, that's worked very well. Our application is working fine. So thank you for watching guys. See you in the next video where we are going to enhance the main screen of our application. In this video, we are going to modify our main screen of our Pong 2D application. So let's get started with this video. So here you can see I have already created some assets for my application. This is the background for our play button and this is actually the background for our logo. So I'm just going to copy these two assets and now coming back to the Android Studio again. And here inside the driver directory, I'm going to right click and paste my assets. Make sure you are actually pasting the asset inside the driver directory. Hit OK and again OK. Now you can see these are the two assets now appear inside our application. So I'm going to close this all and I'm going to the text tab of the code. Now here I'm going to change this text view to button. So this is now will become a button and I'm going to switch my layout to the landscape mode. And after that I need to specify here a background. So instead of using background color, so here we have used a text color and now we have not used any background color. So I'm going to specify here a background and then I will be using a play button BG, which is a play button background. And then you can see the text is actually appearing all in capital formation. So I'm going to use a one property which is called text all caps is going to false. And then I'm going to change the text to like text all caps I'm going to specify false. Then I'm going to change the text to play game. Okay, make sure you are typing it correctly. Now you must be asking a question that we need to change the UI inside the game activity as well. But if I open the game activity, we are actually using the onClick attribute, the start game method, which will start the game. Now again coming back to the activity game, we also need to place a logo. So I'm going to just make it a little bit at the bottom of the screen. And now again I want to specify the height because the height is actually at this point is very big. So I'm going to specify the height to like 50 dp. So 50 dp is very small. I'm going to specify 80 dp height. And also I'm going to reduce the text size to 25 sp. So that will look great. And then here you can see the height and also I'm going to specify the width to like 100 dp. So 100 dp is very less. So I'm going to specify here 150 dp. So 150 dp is looking quite great. Then I'm going to the design tab of the XML code and here I will be selecting an image view and drag the image view at the center of the screen, and from there I'm going to select a Pong logo and hit OK. Now we need to align this. So I'm going to align it at the center of the screen. Then I'm going to set the constraints. So set the constraints from top constraints and here from the bottom. So this is actually the logo of our application. So you can see that's look great. Now it's time to run the application to see whether this actually working or not. Now I have actually designed this very simple graphical asset. You can design high quality assets or you can use some of the high quality assets from some websites. It's totally up to you, because the main motive of the course is to teach you how to build the Pong game instead of graphics lecture. Now our application is now running. If I just show you to the screen of my physical device, so if I click on this play, then you can see now we are inside the game mode of the application, and if I hit play, then you can see our game is start playing. Now I'm just going to back because we have already seen the working example of the application. So that's marks the completion of this video. Thank you for watching and I will see you in the next video. Hello and welcome to this lecture. I am your instructor for this course. So let me first introduce myself. My name is Vijay and I have more than 5 years of experience in programming languages and various other graphical softwares as well. So together in this course, we are going to develop this good looking piano application that you can see in front of your screen. So this is our piano application. So now I'm going to play some notes with this application. So here you can see when I press the button, it plays a note. So you can see that when I press the button, it actually plays a note. And you can see we have this horizontal scroll view that through we can scroll and different kinds of notes can be played. So there are some tiny ones. So that's it. Enroll this course and I will see you inside the course. So if you have any doubt whether this course is worth it for you or not, then you can watch some preview lectures to check my teaching style. And also you are getting 30-day money back guarantee with no question asked if you feel unsatisfied with this course. So, enroll it today and create your first piano application. Welcome to this lecture. So in this lecture we are going to start the creation of our piano application, means the actual coding of the piano application. So let's start this lecture by opening our Android Studio. So I have already opened my Android Studio and I am going to start with the new Android Studio project because we are going to start this application from the scratch. And I am also going to use the Android Studio version 3.1.4. So simply click on the Start a New Android Studio project. So once you click on the Start a New Android Studio project, a dialog box will pop up. So from here you need to define your application name. So I'm going to name my application as App Piano. You can also name it as Piano App, but I'm going to make it a little different. Then here is your company domain. So I'm going to using my company domain as com.residue.dynocode that I have name chosen according to my own thinking. And this is your package name. And this is your default project location. No, this is not a default. I have changed it. So simply how you can change it by simply going into C, and I have already created a directory, means a folder, Dynocode Academy projects, and from here I am using simply click on that. So it will create a project, but I am going to create another folder inside of that directory. So I am going to Dynocode Academy, and here I am going to create another directory and I am going to name as Piano App PRO project. That's it. So I am going to Android Studio and simply changing the directory so that the things be getting organized. So that later on if I put the code on a GitHub, so it will make easy for me to differentiate between the different versions of the code. So simply click next, and here you need to specify your minimum API level. So I'm going to use API level 25 that allow me to use most of the features of the Android, and it will cover approximately 14.2% of the devices. You can change it to 5.1 or maybe 6.0, but I'm going to use API 25 simply because if you degrade the API, then you are actually using less features and you need to do lots of coding, means you need to take care of the lots of devices. But I'm going to use this targeting this nougat, so simply it's totally up to you which API you want to use. So I'm going to simply click on next. Then from here you need to select your activity. So I'm going to select empty activity. You have a bunch of activities, you can use it, but for this application I'm going to use empty activity. Simply click on next. Now here you can see that the default name of our activity is main activity and activity main. So I'm going to leave it as default and simply hit on finish. And then the Gradle will start the creation process of our project. So wait for the Gradle to finish the project creation. So now you can see that our project is created. So you can see that we have got two files, that is activity_main.xml and main_activity.java. So you can simply click on this activity main.xml. So you can see it's loading actually the designing editor of the XML file. So here you can see that it's not showing the actual action bar. Now this is a problem in the 3.1.4 version of the Android Studio, and also this problem exists in the 3.1.3 version of the Android Studio as well. So how we can solve this issue? Because if you are familiar with the Android Studio, you are seeing that there should be an action bar by defaultly shown, but right now you can't see the action bar. But if you actually going to your style.xml by expanding the first app, then simply res and simply values, and when you open the style.xml, so here you can see that there should be a light dark action bar should be displayed, but in your activity main.xml you are not going to see this thing. So guys, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to run this application for first time in my virtual device so that you can see that there is an action bar should be displayed, but right now in the design editor the action bar is not going to display. So what I'm simply going to run my application in my virtual emulator, that is my Android emulator. So simply hit OK. Now virtual emulator takes little time to boots up, so it's actually boots up quickly, but now the build process is still running, so it will take time. So here you can see that the app piano, the title bar and the action bar is actually displayed, but design editor it is not going to display. So the quick fix for this is actually you need to open your build.gradle, that is module app. So we hit on that, and here you can see that there is a API target version is 28, compiled SDK version is 28, and here there is a app compact support version is also 28. So we need to degrade this into 27. So degrading 27 because the 28 version is not stable. and it has bugs. And in Android Studio 3.1.3, this bug is still present in Android 3.1.4 version also. So simply click on sync now, then you can see that the magic will happen and the action bar will be displayed in the activity_main.xml file. So now the Gradle build is running, but for the build to finish completely, so here you can see the build is finished and now it's time to, and boom, you can see that now the app icon is actually displayed. No, sorry, the action bar is displayed. So that's the quick fix for the API 28 because it is not stable. That's why we have degraded to 27. It doesn't matter which version of, because in the latest version means when the upcoming update will be come, then this problem will be solved. So right now the 3.1.4 is the latest update of the Android Studio that I am currently recording this course. So this will be the latest version. In future this version will become old as usual. It's a true thing. So now start the coding of our piano application. So simply close these two files, and main_activity.java file we also need to close this one, and we are going to start with the designing of the piano application. Now first we need to change it into landscape mode because piano application will be running in a landscape mode, and the designing of the piano application is little complicated. So the first couple of videos are actually totally based on the designing of the piano application. So simply you need to first delete this text field because we don't need it, and we also need to change the root layout, that is constraint layout. So we need to change the root layout, that is from constraint layout to relative layout, which makes it easy for us to develop this application. And simply clear this because we don't need it anymore. Then again inside of this relative layout we need to place one horizontal scroll view. So I'm again going to design editor, and here I'm going to search for the horizontal scroll view. So here is our horizontal scroll view. Simply drag it inside the relative layout, sorry. And inside of this there is already a linear layout, but we don't want that linear layout. We want a relative layout. Now there should only be one child inside of this horizontal scroll view. Also if you are using another scroll view, because if you try to put another layout, like if you copy, and I'm going to paste showing you, then you are actually presenting, means you are actually putting two childs inside the relative layout, which will basically not true. Now you can see that a scroll view can have only one child. If you try to put two child, then you will get a runtime error. Now we don't need this orientation vertical property, so simply delete that property, and I'm going to just simply delete this one, and I'm going to close the tag by this approach. So simply now we're going to place the button inside this. So simply I'm just hitting the preview first. So yes, but first we need to remove this action bar. So I'm going to open style.xml file, and here instead of dark action bar I'm going to use a no action bar. So what it simply does, it will actually remove the action bar, and instead of this we need to place a button. So I'm going to simply go into the design editor, and here I'm going to simply select a button and place inside this, and simply again switch back to the text. So you can see that we have a button code. So I'm just making little formatting. Now you can see that the button is actually here. Now I'm going to modify the content of this button in such a way by using custom style so that it will look like a button. And we don't need any other software like Adobe XD, Illustrator, Photoshop for creating the custom assets for the button. Then we can use, because due to the screen density of the Android, because it is Android screen size is around 5.0, 5.5, 5.2, 5.3, different kinds of screen sizes. So for that reason the graphical assets will become stretched and lose the quality. So that's why I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to use custom style along with custom drawable resources file. So I'm going to do that, but before I'm going to just simply remove this text because we don't want text in our button, and I just simply switch to the style.xml file. From here I'm just first write a custom style for the button. So simply I open a style tag. So here is our third option. Simply hit tab, and the name of the style I'm going to give is first key style for pink key. So I'm going to type first. So here is no suggestion. So here simply first I need to close the tag. Then I'm simply going to underscore. Now naming convention is necessary, guys, because if you're developing a big application, then it will become difficult for you to actually debug the application if you are making random names. So that's why I'm taking care of the names while developing my application. So now I'm going to use the pink keys of the button. That's why I named my style name as pink. So first key style for pink key. So I'm going to name it as key, not Lee. Again is key. So this style is used for only the first and the foremost key of the piano button. Means the first key, that will be this one, will use this style that I'm right now here creating. After that, now instead of closing this self close, I'm just going to close it with the tag. The style tag is done. I just simply want to close that tag. So this is our custom style name. Now I'm going to give in here one comment. So I'm going to write this will be used for the first foremost key. So this style will be used for the foremost key of the piano. So this will makes me easy for me, not difficult. It will makes me easy to develop the application also when I want to make some modifications, because commenting is necessary. It also helps us for the other developers. If you put your project on a GitHub repository, then simply click on item and here is the name. I'm going to use Android layout width. So here Android. So I'm firstly typing here width. So Android layout width by default came out. Simply hit tab. And instead of Android, and here is we need to close. From here I'm going to give the 45 dp. Now the dp is a density independent pixel. So I'm again going to duplicate it 4 to 5 times and I'm going to change the properties directly. So here layout width, I'm going to use height. So instead of typing, so I'm going to layout, and here is a margin. Now I'm going to need to type more. So you can see the height is coming, and here is we need to change again. So layout margin top, and here we need to type layout underscore, that is not, here we need to use Android background. So and there is a Android state listener, which is the fifth property that I'm going to use. So we start with a small state listener animator, and I'm going to make it as null because we don't want any animation to that our button. So I'm null. Now for the background, we need to create a background drawable resources. So we are going to create it in the next lecture. Margin height, margin top. So the margin top value I will be giving to 100 dp. From the top the margin should be, and the height I'm going to give is around 200 dp. Means how much height of our button key will be there. And this will be our style. Now here it gives us the XML tag has empty body. So here we need to specify the drawable resource file. So right now I'm giving the comment here, so that when I will be developing, because commenting is necessary guys, not underscore, it's actually a hyphen. And simply here we need to write a command is a custom drawable file that we are going to create in our next lecture. So it's time to actually apply the style into this. So simply remove these two lines and simply here you do. Now you can see that it gives us error. And why? Because every view has two main properties, the height and the width. The ID is not necessary in some cases, because if you are doing connecting the programming in main activity, then ID is also necessary, because this is the most important thing. You initialize the view to the variables. So but the two main properties are actually height and width. It means how much height and the width will be view cover inside the activity, and activity is the physical component in which user interact. So for that reason I'm going to give the height and width with the use of style. So I'm going to give the style, and here the style is present in our @style. So I'm going to and style, and the style name is around our first. That's, you can see the first key style for pink key, for pink piano key. You can name it as it is, but I'm just simply leaving this. So you can see that the button is actually style applied and the error is gone. Now I'm going to give you the background color because right now they both are actually having the same color. So I'm going to change the properties of adding some code inside the relative layout. So I'm going to first add a padding to right. So padding right, where is padding right? Here is, and 16 dp. Then again I'm going to write a padding from left is around 16 dp. Now I'm again hard coding. You can create a dimensions.xml file, but for the learning purpose you can do it by your own. I'm just making the application development faster, so that's why I'm here hard coded it. Then from bottom I'm again going to give it 16 dp and the gravity center. So I'm going to type a gravity directly. So gravity, and I'm going to give it as top. Then I'm using a pipe symbol and combine the other property center. Then I'm going to give the background color. So I'm going to give the background color. First I will type hash and the 000, that is for the black, and then I will be using the color because I want to give the brownish color. You can use the custom texture created in Photoshop and place the background, but I'm going to use the color because I don't want to use a Photoshop. Simply choose that color and you can see that this color will be look nice. Now you can also give the background color here, but we can modify give the background means the style to our button by using custom drawable. So that's all about this lecture. So in next lecture we are going to create the custom drawable XML file to color our button, to make some styles on our button so that it will be look like a piano key. So thanks for watching and I will see you in the next lecture. Thank you very much. Welcome to this lecture. So in this lecture we are going to create the custom drawable file so that we can apply some styles on our button so that it will look like a piano key. So let's start this lecture. So switch back to your Android Studio and so simply right click on your drawable directory that is under rest directory and simply hit on new and simply go to this option that is Drawable Resource file. Simply hit on and simply you will get a new dialog box. So from here you need to actually select the drawable. So I'm going to name it as pressed and known. So I'm going to you can name it whatever you want, but right now I'm going to create 4 XML files, that is 4 drawable XML files. So I'm going to first name it as black shadow. So I'm going to name it as black underscore shadow. So this will be our first XML file. So I'm going to simply hit OK. So you can see that the black shadow.xml file will be created. Now I'm going to create 3 more. Again, the next one is key normal. So you make sure that all the letters should be in small. If you try to add capital, so it is not valid, and only you can use lowercase and 0 to 9 or underscore. So simply use key normal, which is a normal drawable resource file for our piano keys when we not press the or when we depress the key. So this will be the normal style, normal custom drawable style for our piano key. So simply hit OK. I will be coding it once. First I will create the all files one by one. So simply the next one should be key pressed. So when we press the key, then what style means what changes we want to apply in our style. So simply key pressed .xml will be created. Now the next one is actually a little bigger name because I have named it as, because I am mainly concerned with the naming convention. So I am going to name this one as pressed and normal selector. You can name it whatever you want, but for my opinion it makes a sense when you pressed or also a normal selector. Normal selector. So this will be my final and the fourth one, selector, that we are going to use right now at this moment. So simply first open the black shadow.xml and simply switch back to text. So and here you need to change this. So first I'll just close the preview window and simply hit enter, and here from selector to you need to change it to shape. So simply SHA and you can simply need to press tab. And simply here we need to add some code more, but before that we need to add a rectangle, because rectangle means I want to show a shape, not a shape. shape, and here can use 4 options. Means from these 4 options we can use any one. So I'm going to use a rectangle, and simply inside the shape, means after when the shape tag is closed, from here you simply need to type corners. So simply type corners without, just simply open the tag and simply hit corners, and corners radius I'm going to give it as 5 dp, and simply close it as a self tag, means self closing of the tag. Then another one I'm going to use solid, and here I'm going to use the end dot color. So I'll be giving the color as hashtag. First I need to type hash, then f, then 6 times 4 plus 4 4 4, and then another 3 times 4. So it will gives us a little grayish color, and you can see it on the preview. So this will be the final output of this code. Now we need to also close this tag, so I'm going to use the self closing of the tag. So this will be our code for the black underscore shadow.xml. So now it's time to switch back to key normal.xml file and simply hit enter. First I just disclose the preview window and simply press key normal.xml file coding. So I'm going to first change this selector to layer list. Simply hit tab, and you also need to change this, so I'm just copying it, and because the closing tag should be matching exactly the opening tag. Then here what we need to do, we need to specify item. So instead we need to press enter, and I'm going to add item, and the item Android bottom. So in bottom I'm going to give the bottom as 10 dp, and again I'm going to simply inside of this item I'm going to define a shape. So I'm going to shape, and the shape I'm going to use is this point of time rectangle, and again going to close the tag. Inside of this shape I'm going to define a corner. So I'm going to use a corners, not a corner, it's a corner, and I'm going to specify the radius as 5 dp, that is same as the previous dp that I defined in the black shadow.xml file. Means you can see it here, where is background black shadow, 5 dp, the radius will be same, otherwise it will create a mismatch in the design. Simply close the tag. Then again I'm going to fill this time a solid, and here I'm going to give the color, and the color I'm going to give is this hashtag. First we need to specify f, then 7, then again BC. So this will be our color code. So now you can preview the output. So this will be the nice pinkish color that I want on my piano key. You can change the color whatever you want, like from here you can change it to aqua or whatever you want, but I'm not going to use, I just want to pink color because I already named my style as pink key. Then simply format the code, extra spacing, just remove the extra spacing so that the code will look like more cleaner. Now it's time to close these two files, that key.xml and blackshadow.xml. Now it's time to code the keypress.xml file. So switch back to text and just close the preview and simply again change the selector to layer list. You hit tab and simply open another item, and here simply type item, and here you need to specify shape, that is, and we need to just simply close the tag. Inside of this we need to define a shape, that is Android shape, and it should be a rectangle. Then I will be close this, and inside of this shape I'm going to fill a one solid, that is solid, and the color should be, I'm going to use a color is around 3 times, means 8 times 0, by specifying hash 0 0 0, then 4 times 0, then again 4 times 0. It will gives us a color code, little blackish color code. And again we need to define another item inside of this, that is item. Inside of that item I need to define Android top. So simply select the Android top, and Android top we need to define 10 dp, that is 10 dp, and simply close the tag. Inside of item there is a shape, and I'm going to define the shape as rectangle, and simply close the tag. And inside of this you need to define a corner and a solid. So I'm going to use a corner, that is corners, and I'm going to define the radius as 5 dp. That is the previous same in the all our previous XML files, that is blackshadow.xml, and also in key pressed, so not in key pressed, in key close normal.xml. Then self close the tag. Then again I'm going to use a solid, pressing tab and simply open solid. Inside of solid I'm going to define the color, and the color name that I'm going is, first I will type the hash, then should be F, then 7, the same as pink color, that is BC. Again I'm going to self close the tag. So now you can preview your code. So this will be our final, and you can see that there is a top bar at the first item that we want in our style. Next time to code the our final and the last, press then normal selector.xml file. So simply switch back to the text and disclose the preview button. Now from there we will also add 2 items. Then from here we will be using a selector, and inside of this we are going to define an item. So I'm going to use the item, and here I'm going to use the Android state pressed, Android state pressed. Now it is not showing the state pressed. Now here is Android state activated, so we need Android state pressed. This is one, here is. So we are going to make the Android state pressed is equal to 2, and just simply close the tag, not question mark, close the tag, and inside of item I'm going to define an Android drawable. So here I am going to use Android drawable, that is Android. Now inside of this item, first we need to use Android drawable, and it is inside of the drawable, so I'm going to use an @ and type drawable, and here you can use key pressed. So that's why we already created the key pressed.xml file first, because we want to use that inside of this pressed and normal selector. Means when we press the key and normal selector, both are used in this file. That's why I named this fourth .xml file name as press and normal selector. Then after that we need to apply a padding from top, that is for the padding from the top the button will be, so padding, first we need to type Android, because if you don't type the Android then it doesn't show the option. Android, and simply type padding from top, and simply hit equal to, and simply type 10 dp. So this will be the padding from top will be 10 dp. Now it's showing us error because I have made a typo here. Now it's okay because I have mismatched the name of the, because I make a spelling mistake when typing the name of the padding. Then we need to again add another item. I'm going to add item, and inside of this item I simply need to close that item, and we need to define here a Android drawable again. So simply type, first we need to make room here, simply type Android drawable, and instead of key pressed we will be used. Then instead of margin we need to define a margin here from top, that is margin and the Android margin from top. It's not a margin, it's a layout margin. Layout margin top, and that should be equal to 50 dp. And simply hit. There's no need to close the tag because we already closed the tag. So you can preview your code and you can see that it will be look like this. So but the problem is we want a black shadow at the bottom. So how we can achieve this thing? maybe we have made some mistake in our key. Now we have already used both key pressed, but we want here a key normal. That's why we're getting this problem. So you can see that here we will get a key normal, but you can see there is a black bar is not displaying. It's actually a white bar, but we want a black bar. So the problem is I need to just actually check the code. So why we are not getting the black bar? So here we have defined a solid. This will be now, I don't use a shape black. So why I don't get a black bar? This is because I have not added another item inside of this layer list. So I need to add another item here, that is item, oh sorry, not item, it's item, and here I need to define Android drawable, and drawable should be of added drawable, that's the drawable key, that's a black shadow is there. And now you can see that our code has been showing a black bar. Now if you see the present, then you can see that will be the our final output of the code. So this will be our coding for all the drawable XML files. Now I am going to use this drawable resource file inside of the style.xml, which we have custom drawable file that we want to create, that we left it. So I am going to use it here. Simply I will type @ and here I will type drawable, and here you can see the present normal selector. So once you select it, and if you try to see the code layout, first open my layout.xml, you can see that the code is here. So let me go into the design editor and zoom. So you can see that our button will be look like a piano key. So I'm also going to change this title bar color. So I'm going to switch back to colors, and here I'm going to simply switch back to brownish color. I'm just copying that color to this one as well. So let's make a little good. Now the color is not matching, so I'm going to copy it from here, and inside of color.xml I'm going to paste it here, so that it will look like same in both of the. Now it's matching and it look nice. You can use custom drawable, or if you can give a black color, but now right now this will be the code of this lecture. Okay guys, so that's all about this lecture. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next lecture, in next lecture we are going to place more buttons, and also we are going to create the style for those buttons, but all buttons use the same style. So the first button should be different because we want to differentiate between these styles so that we can make a modification. So that's all about this lecture. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next lecture. Thank you. Welcome to this lecture. So in this lecture we are going to place more buttons in our Android app piano application. So switch back to your Android Studio, but before placing the buttons we are going to run this application, but we need to make some modification in our manifest file, because if you try to run the application, it will run in the portrait mode, it will not run in the landscape mode. So we need to make some modification inside the activity, that is, this is our activity component of the Android. We need to write some code so that it will be run in a landscape mode. Simply we need to add a code here. So first I need to press enter, and I need to first go to the end of the file, and here I will write a config changes. So I write config changes, and here I will type orientation, which is, and then I will use a piping symbol, and I will be hiding the keyboard because we want to hide the keyboard, because we don't want to keyboard while user pressing the keyboard of the piano. Means when user pressing the keys of the piano, we don't want to keyboard of the Android to be came out and interrupting the user. And also we want the screen size. So screen size, I will be writing here screen size, not screen size. And then we will adding the another property, that is screen orientation, and I will be giving it as a landscape. So that's all code for the manifest file. Remove the extra spacing and let's try to run the application. So simply I'm going to running it on my device that running a Android API version of 27 and my build tool version is also 27. So hit OK. And you can see that it will gives us an error, and let me see where we, so the error is actually here. So we have actually make a mistake because there is no underscore because it's not a property. So simply now it's time, the warning is actually gone. Now again try to build the application, means try to run the application inside the emulator. So you can see that our application is up and running. So I need to switch it to landscape mode. So here is our application up and running. So when I click on the button, you can see that the state of the button is here. So I'm just holding the button. So I'm just holding my click, and when I release it, then it will actually looks like that we are actually pressing a button. So congratulations guys, we have achieved the piano key result successfully. And now in next lecture we are going to place more keys. So that's all about this lecture. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next lecture in which we are going to place more buttons inside our activity screen. Thank you. So welcome to this lecture. So in this lecture we are going to place more keys in our piano application, means in our activity screen. But before that we need to write a custom style for our rest of the buttons, means for the rest of the keys. So simply I'm going to close all the packages and I'm going to open my activity main.xml. Now before we placing more keys inside the button, we want another custom style, because if you try to add the same custom style, we can't able to differentiate in the coding. So open your style.xml file. We need to start a style tag, so I'm going to type style, and here we need to define the name of our style. So common key style for rest of pink keys, means the rest of the piano keys which are pink. So I'm going to write common. So first I will remove this suggestion. First I will need to just close this tag, not resources, it's actually style. Then here I need to type the name of our style, that is common. Now the code is almost same, so I'm going to just simply copy the code, because the height and width of the all piano keys will be same. The only difference we need to create is the drawable resource file. So I'm just going to simply leave it as, and you can simply see that this style will be used. Now I'm going to comment it for the again, so that it will be easy for us to debugging and also to make modification when we see this code after long time. So simply add this style. So that's all about the coding of the custom style for the rest of the keys. Now also we need to make some changes in the activity main.xml file. The first thing here, you can see that this relative layout, we need to change it into match parent. So I'm going to simply type here match parent. Then we need to specify here padding top. So padding top also we need to define 16 dp. So that's it. So that's all about this lecture. We have coded our custom style for the rest of the keys, that is common key style for the rest of the piano keys. We'll be using that when we placing more buttons, and all the buttons use the same style, that is this one. So that's all about this lecture. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next lecture. Welcome to this lecture. So in this lecture we are going to code our rest of the pink piano key buttons. So let's start this lecture. So open your Android Studio, and you can see that in previous lecture we are able to display this key. So we need to copy this code so that we can place more keys one after the another. Let me first switch back to landscape mode. So we want to place one key right after this key, then another key with this. So for doing that we need to code this, we need to code the button. So we are going to copy this code one by one, because all, and the style we need to use another one, that is this one style, which we have created in our previous lecture. Here's a drawable file is needed, so for that we need to copy this code, because all keys using the same drawable resource file, that is this one, and just switch back to again activity_main.xml file and simply copy this code. So in my piano application I have implemented 60 keys. So from that 60 keys I have 35 keys that are of pink colors and the rest of the keys are of black keys. Those black keys we are going to code in our upcoming lecture. So for right now just simply copy this code and just paste it 33 times. But before I just want to paste it for one time because we want to change. Now change this ID to P2 and you also need to specify the style. So just simply quickly copy this style name here. Common key style for rest of the piano keys that we have implemented in our previous lecture, and then simply replace with this one. But right now you can see that the button is actually top of our P1 ID button. So we want to add a property that is layout underscore to right of. That is layout, that is this one, to right of. Now we need to specify the ID for, and the ID we are going to do that is this one, because we need to specify the ID for which the button will be displayed. Means we want to display this button right after this button. So that's why we have given here the ID layout to right of. Now you can see that this button is displayed, but you can see that, let me zoom in, there is no gap. So for creating gap we need to use a margin property. So I'm going to use a margin left. So this is a margin left, and you can see that I need to specify here 2 dp, or you can specify 1 dp or 3 dp, whatever you like, but I'm going to specify the 2 dp. So you can see that it creates a little gap between these two buttons. So it will be like there are two separate buttons, but if you don't specify the dp, then it will actually combine it and just looks like a single object. Now we need to code 33 more keys. Let me first small this window. So we need to code 33 more keys because right now in a piano application I have implemented 35 pink keys. So we need to copy this code again, for copy and paste this code 33 times more, so that in order to complete our 35 pink piano keys. So I'm going to do this thing quickly, and you can simply fast forward this video so that to skip that boring stuff, or you can simply watch it if you like it. So I'm just pasted just for 5 times maybe, then P2, then here is we need to change it to P3, then again you need to take care, you need to display the button to the right of this button. So here you need to specify P2, sorry, not P3, there is P2, then here you need to specify the ID P4, then again you need to specify here P3 because you want to display the ID. Now here you need to specify P4. I'm just making mistakes while typing the keyboard keys. Then here you need to specify P5, and then here you need to specify P4. So you can see that in your preview window, you can see the buttons are now our piano getting a shape. Means there are now 5 buttons. Now again I need to specify here P6, and then here you need to specify P5. So right now you can see that we are able to implement 6 keys. Then now it's time to copy this code again for 29 times. Copy and paste it 29 times. So I'm going to count with every, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Now there are lots of red lines waiting for us to fix. So simply first what you need to do, simply click on it and press Ctrl Alt L to format the code. So it quickly format the code for us. Now it's time to scroll up to change the IDs of the buttons, ID and also the to right of property. Simply just make it a little bigger. I'm just making it 2 side, and here we have ID P6, and we want to display this button right after button 5. So simply here we need to change it to P7, and here you need to change it to P6. Then here you need to change it to P8, and here you need to change it to P7. Then from here there is no shortcut way for doing this. You need to hard code it with patience. If you make any mistake, then one of your key maybe not work properly, or it actually disturbs the UI. Then here is from P5 to you need to specify P8, and you can see that with every changing in the properties, there is a one key is added right after the other. And here you need to specify 10, that is 10th key, and after you need to specify 9. Then here you need to specify 1 which is the 11th key, and after we need to specify this key with the 10th. Then I'm going to do this quickly for you. You now think what I'm going to do. So I'm doing this thing quickly and just fast forwarding it. So we have done our all the coding of the key. So you can see that I have placed all the keys. So it's time to run the application to see that whether I am able to display the all 35 keys of the piano application or not. So simply try to run the application. So I'm going to run the application in my virtual emulator. So this is my EVD pixel. Simply hit OK. So here you can see that our application is up and running. So we are able to display our all 35 keys. So congratulations guys, our application is now getting in a shape and you are learning in a very good grasp. So that's all about this lecture guys. Thanks for watching and I will see you in the next lecture. Thank you. So welcome to this lecture. So in this lecture we are going to place more keys in our piano application, means in our activity screen. But before that we need to write a custom style for our rest of the buttons, means for the rest of the keys. So simply I'm going to close all the packages and I'm going to open my activity main.xml. Now before we placing more keys inside the button, we want another custom style, because if you try to add the same custom style, we can't able to differentiate in the coding. So open your style.xml file. We need to start a style tag. So I'm going to type style and here we need to define the name of our style. So common key style for rest of pink keys, means the rest of the piano keys which are pink. So I'm going to write common. So first I will remove this suggestion. First I will need to just close this tag, not resources, it's actually style. Then here I need to type the name of our style, that is common. Now the code is almost same, so I'm going to just simply copy the code, because the height and width of the all piano keys will be same. The only difference we need to create is the drawable resource file. So I'm just going to simply leave it as, and you can simply see that this style will be used. Now I'm going to comment it for the again, so that it will be easy for us to debugging and also to make modification when we see this code after long time. So simply add this style. So that's all about the coding of the custom style for the rest of the keys. Now also we need to make some changes in the activity main.xml file. The first thing here, you can see that this relative layout, we need to change it into match parent. So I'm going to simply type here match parent. Then we need to specify here padding top. So padding top also we need to define 16 dp. So that's it. So that's all about this lecture. We have coded our custom style for the rest of the keys, that is common key style for the rest of the piano keys. We'll be using that when we placing more buttons, and all the buttons use the same style, that is this one. So that's all about this lecture. Thanks for watching and I will see you in the next lecture. Welcome to this lecture. So in this lecture we are going to place some text views that will be used as a label for our piano keys. So switch back to your Android Studio. And first we need to add a text view. So simply type text view and match parent. But for now we are going to use a style, not a match parent. Simply I'm just removing this code and I will be typing style, and the style that we have created is a style for key text. So I'm going to copy the name of the style. Now this will be the wrong one. I'm going to copy the style, that is style for text view key text 3 instead of first key style for pink key, and I'm going to paste it. But right now we are not able to see the style, so we need to add some code first. So first I will quickly specify the ID, that is TC3, that is text of C3, means this C3 will be the text of the piano key. So I also need a text property and we will need to type here C3, not C has C3. You can see that this C3 is up here, but we also need to specify some more code like layout to left. So I'm going to use a layout to left off. Layout to left off. This is, and we are going to specify a piano key 2 because we want to place this key just left of the second key. So this is our piano key 2 and we are going to place this label just left of the this. So you can see, just let me zoom it. So what this property actually does, what it actually places this label just left of the second key. So now we need to do now we need to add one more property, that is state listener, state list animator, and we are going to make it as null. Then the last property that we are going to use is text is selectable. So we are going to make the text selectable false. So this is a text is selectable property that we are going to set the false, so that if user is hold the finger on the text for longer time, then there is a small copy and paste cursor will be appear. So to avoid that copy and paste cursor, we will be making the text selectable as false. So all pretty well done. So you can see there is a key is displayed. So similarly we need to add 6 more text views. So that will be act as a label for the another 6 keys of piano. So simply I am going to copy and paste it for 6 times. Then I am going to simply change the ID, that is TC3 to TD3, and then here we need to also change the alphabet, so that it will be a D3, then it will be a E3, and also the ID is E3. Then I am going to specify here F3, and also the text should be F3. Then again we need to specify here F3 to G3, not capital 1, just simply small G3. Then here should be the capital G, then A, then capital A3. Now one is left. Now I need a one text view for B3, then B3, and here is B3. So all are done, but you can see that all are actually stacked on top of each other. This is because we have not specified the to left of property. So this is our first label, so this is our second label. So here we need to make it change as 3. You can see that the D3 is quickly displayed here. Similarly for this one we need to specify here P4, and then similarly for this one we need to specify P5. Then for this one we need to specify P6, and for this one we need to specify P7, not P6, is P7, and then for this one we need to specify P8. So you can see that now it's our piano keys have a label, that is C3, D3, E3, F3, G3, A3 and B3. So try to run the application so that you can see it in our emulator as well. So simply hit OK. So here you can see that our application is been running. So you can see that all labels are displayed correctly. So that's all about this lecture, guys. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next lecture. In next lecture we are going to code our rest of the text keys and also going to code the rest of the styles that will be used for those text views, which will be act as a label for our rest of the pink piano keys. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next lecture. Thank you. Welcome to this lecture. So in this lecture we are going to code our remaining styles that will be used by the text view as a label. So simply switch back to Android Studio and simply click on the style.xml file, and what I have to do is simply copy this code and simply copy it, and below this simply enter and paste it. Then simply change this key text to 4, that will be used so that simple style will be used for all the keys, that is have C4, D4 up to B4. And similarly again going here and simply Ctrl V and change it to key text 5. Then again simply here and press Ctrl V and change it to 6. Make it little closer and hit enter so that it will be documented. Then again guys, simply just below it simply Ctrl V Let's make it little recap and simply 7. So this is all the styles we have implemented that will be used for the text view. Now switch back to activity main.xml, and here we need to specify the code for the remaining text views. That is, will be used as a label, which will be directly will be put in from here. Now from here we need to start it from C4 to up to B4. So we can't see it in our editor like this design way because it can't be scrolled. But once we actually able to see the application, when we run the application, then we will be able to see. So simply again I'm going to simply copy this code and paste one, and simply I'm going to change the ID to TB4, and from there I'm going to specify it from P8 to P9. And you can see that it shows a B3, but we don't want a B3 because we want a C4. Here we need to specify for C because the capital letter started from C and C. Then here is the ID we have changed. The place now the text style we are going to use 4. Now here is a blue, but we want to create a differentiate between them. So for creating a differentiate, this should be a 4, not dollar. But for creating a differentiate between those 7 keys, we need to make some modification in our style. The only modification that we want to make is the color. So simply I'm going to, here is the color. So I'm simply click on this, a dialog will pop up. From here you can specify any color of your choice. So I'm going to choose a little dark purple. Simply hit OK, and I'm going to change the colors of these styles as well. So I'm just going to this part and just not, I don't want alpha. Simply hit OK, and here I'm going to use a little dark black color. And here I'm going to use a green, a dark green, not too dark, just a simple dark green. So switch back to activity main.xml. Now you can see that it is different than all the other 7 keys. So simply copy this code and paste it into 6 more times. So the things can be getting easy with this copy and paste. And simply Ctrl, Alt and L, it will format the code for us. And from here you need to change the ID. So from TB3, which is used for the B3, then this is the right, we don't want to change this one. So from here we need to change into D3. Simply D4, and here we need to specify B4. And we need to specify this key just to the left of piano key 10. And similarly we need to change this one to E4, and this one should be of E4. And then we need to change the key to 11. Then it will be displayed to the just one after the other. Then we need to change this one to F, and then change the capital F, and here you need to specify 1, 2. Then simply you need to specify here G, and then capital G4, and then I change the ID to left property to 1, 3. Now from there you can't see the onwards new screens, so make sure you are doing it correctly in order by saying this order. So after G there is a A, so you need to specify here A4 and simply hit A4, which is a capital 4, capital A4. And A4 will be displayed, but we can't see it because the entire screen is just, we have only this screen. We can't scroll to the right of this screen, means we can't scroll to beyond of this screen. So simply the next one is the B, and here specify B4. Also you need to take care, you should specify the ID. So here is 1, 4. Then there is a 1, 5. So try to run this application to see whether you have able to implement the other 7 keys properly or not. So I'm going to run it in my emulator again. So you can see that I am able to display the set of C4, D4, E4, F4, G4 and A4 as well. So total are 7. So now we are able to label our 14 keys successfully. So now it's time to do the rest one as well. That is our B5, B6 and B7. So for that we need to simply copy this code again and simply paste it. We need to change the ID to DC5. And here we need to specify capital C5. And we need to place this key just to the left of piano key, not 1116, just 16 by saying this number. Then we need to copy this code 6 more times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then simply press Ctrl, Alt and L. Then Enter Studio format the code for us. And scroll to top, not to top. Then this is the right one. We don't want to change this again. So TC5 we need it. And again we need a D5. So simply change it to D5. Then here you need to specify D5 as well. And we want to display this key just to the left of 17th piano key, not 117. Guys, I just making too many mistakes. Sorry for that. So now here you need to specify after we have a E. So I'm going to change it to E. You can do it by your own if you want to just make it. You can forward this repetitive task because you know very well how to do that. And just changing it to E18. And then here you need to specify E5. Then there is a TF5. There's a F5 and here you need to specify 19. And here you need to specify 20. And ID should be of G5. So there is no shortcut. You need to hardcode this thing, because if you find a shortcut, then probably tell me also, because there is no shortcut. You need to do this by your own self. My hardcode is sometime. Then A5. Then here to specify a capital 5. Then we want to display this key just after the 21st key, means just to the left of 21st key. Then after the last one is B, which is B5, and we want to change it to capital B5. Then we need to display this key just after to the left of piano 20th key, 22nd key. So simply try to run the application once more. So you can see that our application is up and running. The only thing is missing, there is a C5, D5, E5, F5, G5, A5 and B5. The style is same because we have not changed the style. So I'm going to quickly make it a 5. And there's a 5. And there's another 5. And then 5. Then again I'm trying to just make some changes. So you can see that now C5, D5 and up to B5 now displayed within its style, that is style for text to key text 5. Now again we need to do the same thing for our C6 to C6 to B6. Then again we need to apply the same thing for C7 to B7. So now I'm going to copy this code again, copy, and I'm going to paste it. Then here we need to specify TC6, and also we need to change this one, which is a 6th style we're going to use, and it should be changed to C6. And we want to display this key just to the left of piano key 23. And again we need to copy this code 6 more times. Simply hit and simply type Ctrl V, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then simply press Ctrl Alt and press L. It will format the code for us again. Then we don't want to change this one. So T6, and there is another one which is T6, and we want to display this key just to the left of 24th piano key, and here we want to specify D6. Then for after that we need to specify E6, and then here we need to specify E6, and just need to display this key just after the piano key of 25th. And this is a 26th key, and here we need to specify T, E and then F6, and we want to change the text to should be F6. Then here to specify this is a G, which is next. Then there is a G6, and we want to display this key just after the just to the left of 27th piano key. Here is 28th. Then we need to change it to A, and here we need to specify capital A6. Then we need to change to display this key just to the left of 29th piano key, and this should be a for B, and should be capital B6. So I'm again running the application to my virtual emulator to see that changes I have made are done correctly or not. So you can see that our application is up and running. So you can see that from C6 to B6 we are able to display the labels on our piano keys. Now the only 7 keys are left, that is from C7 to B7. So let me quickly do that, then we will try to run the application to see whether we have done or wrong or right. So simply I'm going to copy this code again. The copy and paste makes our life easy, guys. If the copy and paste are not available in Android Studio, then it will be difficult to hard code the whole code. So simply change it to C7, and also here change the 7, and again we need to specify here C7, and simply copy this code and paste it for the 6 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and simply Ctrl Alt and L, format the code and simply scroll, and here we need to change it to B7, and simply this one should be the capital B, and we want to display this key just to the left of piano key 30, and we want to display, we would change the ID to P, TB7, TC is it should be TD7, no it is not B7, I have made a mistake here, it is a T7. Let me first check whether in the top I have made a mistake or not. Now it's a D6, it's true, it's right, I have made here a mistake, that is B6, C7, D7. Now it's time to E7 and change it to the 31, because we want to display this key just to the left of 31st key of piano, and here after B7 here to specify D7, and here to specify E7, and here to specify F7, and here is also F, and here to specify 32, and here to specify 33, F7, then there is a G7, G7, then you need to specify here A7, capital A7, and we want to display this key just to the left of 34th key. Then for the last key, which is our B7, so simply change it to B7, and here we need to specify capital B. Then for last one we need to change the layout to not to left to off, we need to change it to right off, to right off 34th key. So that is 34th. So I'm trying to run the application in a virtual emulator to see the changes. So you can see that we are successfully able to display all of our keys in a piano application. So that's all about this lecture, guys. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next lecture. Thank you. So welcome to this lecture. So in this lecture we are going to code our custom style for our black piano keys. So the total number of black piano keys are 25 in our piano application. But for this lecture I am going to only code the style code of the piano that will be used by the black piano keys. So let's start this lecture and switch back to your Android Studio. So simply open style.xml file, and here we need to write a custom style for our black piano key. So simply type style, then the style tag, and here need to type black piano key style. Black piano key style, then simply close the tag. Then inside of this you need to open an item. Then you need to specify the name. The first is the layout height. So I'm going to simply type the height. Then I'm specifying the height as 30 dp. After that I'm again going to type the item tag. Then I'm going to specify the width. Not width, it's just width, layout width. Closing the tag, and inside of the width I'm going to specify the width as 30 dp. And the height I'm going to specify as 110 dp. So 110 dp is our height and width is around 30 dp. Then again I need to go for the item tag, and from there I'm going to specify layout margin top. Then closing the tag, and here margin should be 100 dp. So simply just tab. Then Android background. So I'm going to create a custom background drawable we needed for this one. So item, name, and I'm going to specify the drawable. No, not drawable, it's a background, sorry. It's a background, and just simply need to close the tag. Now we will going to create a custom drawable file for that black key, for that black piano key style. But for right now I'm just completing the code first. Then we need to specify the layout margin left. The layout, then layout margin left. And for that you need to specify minus 14 dp. So first we need to close the tag and simply type minus 14 dp. So here we need to specify a custom drawable file. So I'm going to document it by writing one comment, so that it will remind us that we need to specify a custom drawable here that we can see. So we'll write here custom. So we need to create this custom drawable file. So let's do it. And that custom drawable file uses two more drawable files. So simply click on this project tab and just simply expanding the simply click on this app, then res, then simply click on this right click of this res directory, not in res, just simply click on this drawable folder, new, and drawable resource file. Simply write black underscore piano key selector. Black piano key selector. Simply hit OK. Then we need two more. Simply right click on it, then new, then simply click on Drawable Resource file, and here we need to type normal black key style. Normal black key. Simply type normal black key. Then simply hit OK. Then after that, simply again we need to click the third one. Simply click on Drawable Resource file, and here you need to write pressed black key. Simply hit OK. So simply switch back to the normal one. So I'm going to the normal one first, and simply switch back to text, and simply preview window, close the preview window. Then here you need to type layer list. Simply type layer list and hit enter. Inside of layer list, you need to specify one item. Simply type item, and here you need to specify the Android bottom. Not Android bottom, first we need to specify Android drawable, and that should be of shadow. So that shadow we are going to, that should be of drawable resource file. So we are again need another one, that is, we need one more that is of shadow. So I'm going to click on this and I'm going to type it shadow for black key, black piano, or plus it's a black piano key. Simply hit OK. Now for that, here we need to just simply leave it as empty, because I will be coding it once I will code the first normal black key .xml file. Simply now it's time to open the another tag of item. Simply specify item, and here to specify Android bottom, and bottom should be of 10 dp. Then simply close the tag. Inside of item, you need to specify shape. Then here you need to specify the shape should be rectangle. Then simply close the tag. Then inside of shape, you need to specify corners. The corners should be Android radius, and I am going to give the radius as 5 dp. Then simply close the tag, and then there is a solid is necessary. Then simply color of solid, and I am going to give the color as hashtag F, then 6 times 0 0. Then simply close the tag. So that's complete the code of our normal black.xml file, means normal black key.xml file. Now it's time to switch back to shadow, that is the shadow for black piano key.xml. Simply hit enter here, and simply you need to change the selector to shape. So I'm going to type it shape. So it is not changed here, that's giving us an error. So simply copy it and paste it here. Then from there you need to specify, then simply click here and you need to specify Android shape. Not some Android, it's Android shape. And to specify rectangle. Then inside of this you need to specify a corners. So simply type corners, and Android radius should be of 5 dp. Then close the tag by pressing forward slash, sorry. Then simply you need to type solid and simply type the color, and here I am going to specify the color hashtag FF, then 6 times 444. So that gives us a little darkish gray color. Simply close the tag. Then we need to call this drawable resource file here inside of this item. So simply switch back to our normal key.xml and you type @drawable. Simply type drawable, and here's black shadow. Now the shadow for black piano key. Now you can preview it and see that this is our button, and we all need this little darkish gray bar at the bottom of our this tile that we have created with the use of drawable sources file. And you can also preview this is our shadow that will look like. Now come back to press black key.xml file, switch back to text view, and simply hit enter, and simply open one item tag, and you specify and close the item tag. Inside of the item, specify a shape, that is shape, and type the Android shape as rectangle. Then simply close the tag, not close, simply close the tag. And inside of it, you need to specify a one solid. The solid and the color of the solid should be 6 times 0. So simply hashtag and 8 times 0, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. Now actually we have left one more. Then simply close the tag. So right now we can count it that we have 8. So this is 4. These are 4 guys. There are so many zeros, and we need to remove 1. Okay, so that's actually done. Now then here we need to specify another item, but before that we need to create another file, that is a value resource file. So simply right click on this values folder and click on new and click on this value resource file, and here you need to type daemon, that is DIMN, dimension dot daemon. Now daemon, it's actually a dimension file. So simply expand this source tag and here to specify one tag. So that is of daemon, DI, that is daemon, and is the name required. So I'm going to give the layer padding and simply closing the tag. And here to specify 10 dp. So that's it for this one, this resource file. Now it's time to switch back to our pressBlackKey.xml and open the item tag again. Item, and here to specify Android top. Simply type first Android, not plus, it's our Android top equals to, and here to specify daemon, layer padding, and simply close the tag. Now inside of the item tag, you need to specify one shape tag, that is shape, Android shape, and you need to specify rectangle. Then you need to close the tag. Inside of the shape, we need to specify, inside of this we need to specify one corners, simply type corner, and Android radius, and it's the 5 dp. And here you need to specify solid, simply type corner and solid, then color, and here should be specify hashtag ff and 0000000, and simply type. So here should be 6 zeros. There should be one we need to remove. So we will get this color. So that's all about the coding of all the drawable resource file. So that's all about this lecture. In next lecture we are going to use this custom style that we have created. We will be using in our buttons, and we are going to specify 25 buttons. So that's all about this lecture. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next lecture. Thank you. So welcome to this lecture. So in this lecture we are going to code our black piano keys. But before that we need to code our one more drawable resource file that we have left in our previous lecture. So switch back to Android Studio and simply open the black piano key selector file, because we have actually forgot this to code. So simply click on this text, and here we need to specify some code. So first you need to open an item tag, and inside of the item you need to specify Android state pressed equal to true. And after that we need to specify Android drawable resource file. So drawable, and for there we will be use key pressed. For key pressed, yes, we need to specify black piano key pressed black key. So this will be the selector that we created for the black piano key. Then we need to specify padding top. First we need to type Android and padding top. Simply hit OK, and here we need to specify 10 SP. After that we need to close the item tag. Then after closing the item tag, you need to open one more item tag. Simply type item, and here to specify Android drawable, and for there we will use black normal. So normal key press is for white, our pink piano keys. So here is our normal black key. Simply hit tab and simply type another attribute, that is Android layout margin top. So here we need to type layout. So first we need to type Android, then we need to type layout margin top equal to, and we need to specify margin top value to 50 dp. Then we need to close the item tag. So that's all about the black piano key selector.xml file code. So in next lecture we are going to use this slide on our black piano key buttons. So that's all about this lecture. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next lecture. Thank you. Welcome to this lecture. So in this lecture we are going to code our black piano key buttons, and also we are going to use the custom styles that we have created in our previous 2 lectures. So switch back to your Android Studio and open your activity-main.xml file and also style.xml file. And here we need to specify our custom background drawable selector. So that is this one, black piano key selector. So simply here type @ and drawable, and this is the first one, black piano key selector. Then close the style.xml file, and here you need to specify a button code. So here you need to specify button, and instead of using layout width and height directly, I am going to use a style tag that we have done in our previous buttons of piano, that is of pink color. Then you need to specify the style, that is black piano key style. Now you can see that in the preview window our button is displayed with the black, but it is very left to the screen. So how can we make it to the here, which is just mid of these two buttons? So we can do this with the property that we have used so far, that is layout underscore to right of. So first we need to specify the ID B1. Then we need to specify the property, that is layout underscore to right. So type layout underscore to right of. Then here we need to specify the button ID for which it will be displayed to the left. So that will be the first key of the piano. And you can see that the button is displayed in between of C3 and D3 key. So for this approach we need to do and place more buttons, and there are total number of 25 black piano key buttons. But with the pair of 2, then there is a gap, then 3 buttons, then there is a gap, then 2 buttons, then there is a gap, then 3 buttons. So I am going to do that, but first we will run this. So click on the run button and select your virtual emulator or whatever device you have. So you can see that we are able to display our black piano key button as well. But you can see that it's actually not displaying too well. When we pressing that, it is actually disappearing. So we need to fix, and I'm going to fix this bug in the next lecture. So that's all about this lecture guys, and I'm going to fix the bug as well in the next lecture, and also we will be implementing our rest of the 24 keys. That's all about this lecture. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next lecture. Welcome to this lecture. So in this lecture we are going to code over all the black piano key buttons. But before that we need to fix the bug. So switch back to Android Studio. The bug is when we press this button, that is a black key of piano, then it's actually disappearing. But we want the same result, just like when we click on these buttons, it's actually bouncing. So when we click on this black button, it's actually disappearing. So to fix that bug, we need to open our Drawable Resource file, that is black underscore piano selector dot Drawable Resource file. And there is another one, that is a press black underscore black key XML file. So the problem is here. Let me first open the normal black key XML file as well. So here we have used a layer list, but in our pressed black key.xml file we don't use the I don't use the layer list. So for that I just simply need to copy this layer list from here and simply replace it with that one. Then try to run the application again to see whether the fix works or not. So now our application is up and running. So if I try to, then you can see that I am able to achieve the again bounce effect, just like in those keys. So that is how to fix that bug. Now coming to the main coding point, we need to code this button. So again I am copying this button code, Ctrl C, and I am going to paste it here. Then change the ID to B2, and here we need to display this button right after the second white piano key button. So you can see that here. But for the third key, we want to display the third key from here, because in piano if you see that there is a black key, there is a gap between every two black keys of piano, then there is a 3 keys, then there is a 1 gap. So I am going to implement the same. So again we need to copy this code and paste it. But at this point of time, I just first change the ID. But at this point, instead of piano 3 key, I am going to use P4. Means so that there is a gap between the buttons. Then again I am going to copy the code. Just simply click on here. And again I am going to copy the code and type it, paste it 2 more times. Then here we need to change the ID to B4. And here we need to specify the piano key as P5. because we want to display this key right after the pink piano key 5. And here we need to specify the ID as B5 and here is B6. So you can see that our application looks like a piano. The keyboard of the piano is getting its in shape. So try to run the application emulator to see whether it's working correctly or not. So you can see that it's working fine. Now similarly we need to place 2 more keys here, then there is a gap, then 3 keys, one is here and one is here and one is here. So right now we are able to implement the 5 keys, then there is 20 keys are left now. So I am going to copy this code. I am going to implement in a pair of 5 so that it will become easy for me to debug and also try to not make any mistake. So copy and paste it. So I am going to paste it 4 times more. 2, 3, 4 and 5. So simply press Ctrl, Alt and L. So it will format the code for us. Then here is B5. Then we need to specify here B6. Then I want to display the key right after the P7. Not P7, that is P8 because I want a gap. Then there is P9 and also need to change the ID as P7. Then here I need to specify the ID as P8 and I want to display the key right after the 10th piano key. No, I want to display 2 keys, then there is 3 key. So instead of 10, I want to display it right after the 11. And here I need to specify 12. And here I need to specify 13. Then here B8 and there is a ID number B9 and there is ID number 110. So now it's time to run the application to see that I have done a right thing or not. So here our application is up and running. So you can see that 2 keys, then there is a 3, then there is a 2, then there is a 3. So now we have left with our 15 keys more. So let's do it again. So copy the code and again I am going to paste it 5 times more. Simply press Ctrl V, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then hit Ctrl plus Alt and L. Then it will format the code for us. Then is a B10 and here is a B11. And I want to display this code right after the 15th key. Then here I want to display this key right after 16th piano pink key and there is 17th. Then I need to change the IDs. This one is of 12th, this is 13th, this is 14th and this is 15th. And after 17 there is 13, 14, 15, 16 and there is no 17. I need to make a one gap, so it will be 18. Then there is 19. Wait a minute, did I make any mistake? For button there is a 13 and for I leave the 14 there is a 15, 16, then 18 and there is I need to specify 19 and here I need to specify 20. So let me first run the application because right now in the preview window I am not able to see because I can't scroll it. So if I made any mistake, it will be displayed only when I run the application on the emulator. So let's run the application again. Hit OK. So you can see that. So you can see that our application is up and running. So I am able to display 2 keys, then there is 3. So I am doing a correct one. That's why I am take care of the 5 pairs because it make easy so that I will not make any mistake. Now it's time only left 10 keys, that is 10 black piano keys. So again copy this code and paste it 5 times more. Control V, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And simply press Control Alt and press L to format the code. And again go to the top, B15, just leave this one, there is a button 16, and here instead of 21, we need to specify 22, and then 23, and here really the 24, we need to specify 25, then 26, then 27, then change the IDs, let's say B15, B16, B17, that is black button key 17, and there is 18, and then need to specify 19. After that there is a 20. Then again I am going to run the application to see whether I have done a wrong or right. So you can see that our application is again up and running. So you can see that 2, then 3, now it's only left 5 more keys. So minimize it, and again I'm going to copy this code and I'm going to paste it 5 times more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then again hit Ctrl Alt L to format the code. Then here is our 20, then leave that one, there is a 21, not 22, it's a 21. Then instead of 27, 28, I'm going to give 29. Then here need to specify 30. Then leave the 31 because we want a gap, so it will start with 32. Then 33. Then I need to specify here 34. Not 24, it's 34. Then need to change the ID one by one. So this is B21. So here is B22. Not triple two, it's 22. Then 23. Then 24. Then there is 25. So we have done all our black keys coding. So it's time to run the application again to see whether I have done a right or wrong. So it's 3, 2, 3. So you can see that we have finally created our full final designing of our XML of the piano keys. So congratulations guys, you made a good progress with this. I hope all this lecture very helpful to you guys. So in next lecture we are going to connect all the codes with the IDs to our activity main.java file. So that's all about this lecture guys. Thanks for watching and I will see you in the next lecture. Thank you. Welcome to this lecture. So in this lecture we are going to connect all the views inside the main activity. So let's start this lecture by simply opening the Android Studio. So first we need to click on this and I'm just simply expand it to find out now I'm just simply close all these values file and I'm going to click on this Java directory. Then it's the first package and simply click on this main activity. We need to create bunch of variables. So let's start doing one by one. So we are going to create a private variable and we have used a horizontal scroll view. So this is our horizontal scroll view and I'm going to name it as scroll view and semicolon. Then we need to initialize this scroll view inside the onCreate method. So I'm going to write one comment and we will be writing here one statement: initialize the scroll view. Then simply type scroll view equals to find viewer ID, and we have r dot id dot. So we have not specified an ID to scroll view, so I'm going to specify quickly the ID for the scroll view. So this is our scroll view. I'm going to specify ID, and I'm going to type it here, scroll view, and simply copy this ID inside the main activity. I'm going to paste the ID. then from here semicolon. So we need to initialize all of our views inside the onCreate method, because the onCreate method is the first method when you launch your activity screen. Means when activity is in a creating phase, then onCreate method is executed first. There are a bunch of methods of activity lifecycle that are come under the category of activity lifecycle, like onResume, onStart. But for better coding, we need to always initialize our views inside the onCreate method. Now it's time to initialize all these buttons one by one. Means we need to initialize all these buttons code inside our main activity. But for doing that, we need to create variables. So let's start doing one by one. Simply type private, and here you need to write button. This is a capital button, and this is the fourth one, button, and I'm going to name it as button, and it will be of C3 because we have C3 and semicolon. Then again I'm going to specify a button, let's say private button. Then again I'm going to write a button, and it will be of button C3, that is black. And what will be this black means, I'm going to click on this activity main.xml, and the preview window, simply just make it into landscape, and here you can say, so this is our C3 black button, and this is our D3 black button. Now E3, in between the intersection of E3 and F3 there is no button, but I'm going to name it as C3 D3. Just simply zoom it a little bit. I'm going to treating this black button as a C3 black button, and this one is of D3 black button, so that things will become easy for us to develop. And also remember the names of the button, because there are a bunch of buttons and it creates a lot of confusion. Because what is black button? Because in black button there is no label, so that's why I'm denoting it with the C3 black. So again I'm going to main activity, and it's time to type other buttons as well. So button, and again there's a button, and this is a, now this time we have D3 semicolon. Similarly when you type button private, and there is button, and then we need to type another type button, and this time we have a D3, not get button, it's simply type button, and here we need to specify D3 black. Then there is a button called E3, button, and then another there is a button, and this will be of E3. Notice for E3 there is no black button key, because in preview we have already seen there is no black button key, so that's why for E3 we have no black button, but for F3 and G3 and A3 we have. Simply type another button, then there is another button, and in this time there is a E3, and after E3 we have E3, then we have F3, and then we have G3. So here I am typing a capital F3, and I am going to button. So you need to again hard code this thing, guys, because there is no shortcut for that, because we have already a bunch of keys in our piano application. Then again type private button, and this time we have G3 semicolon. You can quickly type it for button, then we have G3, and then we have black. And again I'm going to type private button, then another we have button, and this time we have after G3 we have A3, then semicolon. Again I'm going to type private button and A3 capital, then I'm going to type button, then we have another private button, and this time we have a last button, that is button B3. Now so we have completed the first pair, which is started from C3 to B3. Now similarly you need to complete this pair, that is around from 35, means we have all 25 black keys and also we have 35 pink piano keys. So similarly you need to create all the variables. So I'm going to do that and just fast forward the video so that you don't need to watch the boring stuff, because it's a boring thing. So just simply I'm doing it quickly for you. So I'm just simply going to do with the copy and paste, changing the values at the end. So I'm going to paste it one more time. So there are lots of red lines. Then I'm going to simply change it to C4. And here again I'm going to C4. So I'm going to do this quickly. Just I show you the one how you can quickly do this thing. So finally here you can see that I have defined, means declare all the button variables. Now it's time to initialize all these variables inside the onCreate method. But I'm not going to initialize inside the onCreate method because there are 60 buttons and it will actually overcode the my onCreate method. Means my onCreate method will become overcoded. Means I want to say it will become difficult to manage the code. So I'm going to use a method, a modular approach, which will help us to make the code more clean. So I'm going to write void initialize all piano buttons. So I'm going to name my method as initialize all piano keys. So I'm going to type button. So I'm just going to start with the C3 note, just in the order in which I have placed inside the. Then I'm going to call find view by id method dot id dot, and the id of the button is C3. Note is not C3, it's P1, because the first button id is P1. So I'm going to simply see that the id of first button is this one is P1. This is the text to this, but this is our button. So the id of this button is P1. So similarly we need to initialize all the buttons, but here we need to also typecast it into the button so that we can't get any error. Although it is saying button is redundant, but still in some cases application may be crashed if we not typecast it. But maybe if you don't specify it, your application will run. But for avoiding any kinds of error, we need to at least typecast it, because we just need to add this only a small block of code. So similarly we need to initialize our next button, that is button C3 black. Then simply equals to button, I'm going to typecast it, and we're going to type find view by id r dot id dot, and the id of this button is B1, because that is a black key 1. Now hold your control key and go to this B1, and when you click on it, you will simply jump into the XML file, that is this one. So this is our black piano key that has id B1, that is this one. So again we need to code the rest of the buttons. So I'm going to type button, then from C3 we have D3, button D3, and again is equals to button, then find view by id r dot id dot, then we have P2. That's why I name the id in a simplest way, so that it will not create any burden, means difficulty, while typing the id name. Then here is D3 black, button, and then we need to again type find view by id r dot id dot, and there is a B2. Then again with this approach we need to call it, but I'm going to copy and paste so that it will become easy for me. Then here I need to change into from D3 to, then we have what, I just simply check it out, simply D3, then we have E3 F3. So it is then we have D3, F3, F. So I'm going to change it into capital F, then capital F. Then we have a simple button that doesn't have F3. Then we have E3. So E3 doesn't have a black key. So the another one that the E3 doesn't have a black key. So then we have G3 and then A3. So here I'm going to specify. So here I'm going to specify G3. And again here G3. Then again I'm going to copy the code for one more time for A3, not S3, it's A3. And then simply copy this line of code and change it to E3 and simply change it to copy and paste it one more time and change it to B3. Also you need to change the ID as well. Now E3 button has a ID P3. You need to remember it. So I'm going to place it in a series of sequence. So after B2 I have a button that has of C series P3. Now B3 has a series of, then after F3, because you can see that in the E3 button has P3 ID and then F3 has P4 ID. So that's why I'm placing the E3 here. So F3 has P4 ID. Then this one had B3 because the black key 3, and the another one that is G3 black is have ID around maybe 4, and this one has P5. And we have A3, so simply switch back to and again design editor, and A3 has the ID P6. And then A3 black has a ID B5, and then button B3 has a ID B7. So I'm going to call this method. We'll simply copy and go to the top of the onCreate, that is this one, and here I'm going to specify semicolon. Now I'm going to run this application in our virtual emulator. At this point of time, you don't get any message because we have simply initialized the code. Now the next step is just simply I'm going to copy and paste. But before copy and pasting, I'm just going to build it once so that it will become clear whether the code is working fine or not. Simply click on this run button, select your emulator and hit OK. So here you can see that our application is up and running. So right now we don't get any error. If we get an error, the application may be crashed, but we don't get any error. So that means the code is fine. So the next step is we need to copy and paste this code and just simply changing the C3 to C4, C3 to C4, then again for the next pair changing the C4 to D4. So this is you need to apply. This is a repetitive process, so I'm going to do that, and then again I'm going to continue the video so that you don't need to see the boring stuff. One more thing guys, you need to take care of the IDs. That is, if you are targeting C4, then before changing the ID, make sure you have actually checked the C4 key. So how you can check? You just need to scroll down and here you see BID and what is the button? The C4. So you need to remember the ID names. It will take time because there are a bunch of keys, so don't need to worry about whether you are consuming time, because at least you are going to create a very good application. So that's why I want to give the suggestion. So take care while giving the ID. If you misplace the IDs, then maybe you will not get an error, but at the end when you try to playing the node, then you will get a different kinds of sound, which will actually a bug in your application. So be careful while changing the IDs. So I'm again going to fast forward the video and then simply continue the video so that you don't need to watch the boring stuff. So finally guys, I have did all the coding of the buttons that I have initialized all the code. So now it's time to run the application to see whether it gives an error or it runs successfully. It took me around 5 to 6 minutes. So simply hit OK and see what's the output. So you can see that it doesn't give any error and it's run fine. So it means I have initialized all the application buttons successfully. So in next lecture I am going to initialize the text views and creating the variables that is our label, that is actually a text view. So that's all about this lecture guys. Thanks for watching and I will see you in the next lecture. Thank you. Welcome to this lecture. So in this lecture we are going to work with our text views, that is act as a label on the piano keys. So switch back to Android Studio and just simply click on activity main.xml and here just simply click on this C3. So the ID of this text view is TC3. So I'm again switch back to main.activity.java and here at the top of the onCreate we need to define variables for our text view labels. So here I am writing a comment that is variables for text view. And simply type private, second one is a text view and TC3, which is the first variable on our keyboard, means our piano key, that is C3. Then the next one is our D3, E3, F3. So I'm going to copy and paste it 6 times again. So these are total 7 because we are working in a pair of 7s, and TC, then it's a T, D3, then another one is E3, then we have F3, then we have A3, and then we have B3. So we have D3, E3, F3, and there is also a G3, A3 and B3. So I have one implement more. So I need to know, so there is 6, so I'm missing a G3 one, so copy and see again after F3 we have G3, simply hit and Ctrl V and then here type G3. Then we have completed the first pair, then it's time to simply copy and paste again and paste it 5 times more because we have 35 keys, that is of piano pink keys. So simply paste it into 4 times more. So I'm going to do that and again I'm going to continue the video so that you don't need to watch the boring stuff. So simply copy and paste it. Finally I have declared all the variables for the text view. Now it's time to initialize all these variables inside the onCreate method, but like we have did in previously with buttons, I'm also going to define the another method for the text views. So create a method. After the end of the onCreate method, type void and the name of the method I'm going to give is Initialize text view labels on piano keys. The name should be meaningful so that when application will become bigger and bigger, then it will become easy for us to debug. So the first is TC3, hit a tab key, and again you need to typecast it into text view. So this is the text view and simply use a method called findWithID r.id. Then the ID is, so I'm going to simply go to activity main.xml and the ID is TC3 as well. So copy and here you need to specify TC3. Then I'm going to simply Then at the end of the cursor, when the cursor is simply I'm going to press Ctrl, and again I'm going to press the Ctrl plus D, means I'm going to use a shortcut key Ctrl D, which is duplicate. So I'm going to press it 6 times. So you can see that it quickly duplicates the code. Then here I'm going to specify D, then F, then there's E, then we have F3, then there's a G3, then there's a A3, and after that we have a B3. Then the corresponding thing here also, there is a D3, which is the ID, then there is a E3, then there is F3, then there is a ID, which is G3, then there is A3, and then B3. So similarly we need to copy this code 4 times more, because we have 35 keys and also corresponding 35 labels. So I'm going to paste it 4 times more. Then I'm going to change the name. So I'm going to simply fast forward the video so that you don't need to watch the boring stuff. So finally I did the coding of all the text view initialization. Now it's time to run the application to see whether we get any bug or not. So simply I'm going to click on this run button and select in the emulator and hit OK. So you can see that the application is up and running, but also there is one thing I forgot it. I didn't call this method inside the onCreate. So I'm going to copy this code and simply here after the initialize all piano keys method, pasting the piano key method, and at the end I need to specify the semicolon. Then at the top of this method I'm going to write one comment, that is method for all text views. Then at the top of initialize all piano key method, I'm also writing one comment, method for all piano key buttons, and also piano key text piano key labels, so that it will convey some idea when the next programmer, means when you put on in a GitHub repository, or maybe you share your code with some other programmers, then they will completely know about what that method will actually does. So they can get an idea and they can actually modify the code, because we are in a programming world and sharing knowledge is the best way to gain knowledge. So again I'm trying to run the code to see whether it will give an error or not. So you can see that application is running fine. So it doesn't give any error and it's almost fine. So because we have not done anything else, we are just simply creating the variables and just simply initializing it and then calling the method inside the onCreate, because it's the best place to initialize the views. That's all about this lecture. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next lecture. Thank you. Welcome to this lecture. So in this lecture I will be sharing some points about MIDI driver or audio file. After the end of the video you will get to know about which one is suitable for the piano application. Now means which one is suited best for our piano application. Now first I am going to discuss the MIDI driver. For playing a piano note in an Android device on a click of a piano key, so when you click on the piano key, we can use both MIDI driver or audio files. So when you click on the piano, then you want to play a sound. So you can achieve this task by using both MIDI driver or audio file. The problem with MIDI driver is you will need to give the credits to the creator of the MIDI driver. Also, you need to use some external dependencies or need to understand how to use it properly. Once you got it properly how to use it, then the development time will definitely reduce. But the problem is, if you publish the application in Play Store without giving credits to the developer, and then your application may be rejected because you are not taking the permission from the creator or the developer of the driver that creates the MIDI driver or any other dependency. So if you publish it on Play Store, then maybe your application rejected due to copyright. Also, when you use the external dependency, then you need to work according to the rules specified by the creator of the dependency. Now it's time to discuss some points regarding audio file. Now similarly, in audio file, you also need to give the credit to the creator. You can purchase the audio files from different websites at affordable price. You can create different piano notes by yourself or with the help of someone, just like I do. I took the help of my friend and he just helped me to give a graph and also give the notes of piano to me to complete this application successfully. Now, audio file is easy to use and easy to maintain. So, that's why it is a very convenient to use audio file when you are creating a small application like piano. Now which one to choose and which one is ideal for the piano application? So in my piano application, I used audio files that I got from my friend who is a very good pianist, and also I use in piano application because it is very easy to use and quickly to implement. So that's all about this lecture. Thanks for watching and I will see you in the next lecture. Thank you. Welcome to this lecture. So in this lecture I am going to share some information about OnTouchListener and OnClickListener, means the difference between OnTouchListener and OnClickListener. Now both OnTouchListener and ClickListener are interface. So I am going to first talk about OnTouchListener. Now when you implement the OnTouchListener, then it's mandatory to override the OnTouch method because the OnTouchListener is an interface and the property of interface says if you implement the interface, then you need to override all the methods that are present on the interface. So that's why if you implement the OnTouchListener, then you need to override the OnTouch method. So OnTouch method will be look like this. It expects two parameters. The first parameter is the view and the second parameter is of type motion event. And the listener sets by using the method setOnTouchListener. Now if you want to set this listener to the view like button, text view, image view or maybe image button, then you need to use setOnTouchListener method. Now it's time to talk about OnClickListener. So when you implement OnClickListener, then it's mandatory to override the OnClick method because OnClickListener is also an interface and the property of interface says that if you implement the interface, then you need to override all the methods that are present on the interface. And the OnClick method will be look like this. It will expect one argument that is of type view. And to set the listener, you need to use setOnClickListener method to set the listener to the views, and that view can be a button, image view, text view or maybe a layout file. Now OnTouch event has some properties. It gives a motion event. It has action up, action down, action move. Those are common actions we usually implement to get a desired result. Sometimes it becomes difficult to use OnTouch method. Yes, OnTouch method is little tricky to use because it has different kinds of events that you need to take care. That's why sometimes also in our piano application, I'm not going to use a OnTouch method because it complicates the UI. Also the logic will become more complicated. But in case of OnClick is a complete event which focusing on pressing and releasing of a button. OnClick is very simple to implement and it allows a better control. The OnTouch method works more faster than OnClick method because there are some developers say that OnTouch method works more faster as compared to OnClick, but the difference is very minor and you can't see it when you are using the application. Now, which one to choose? So it depends upon the requirement and the complexity of the application. Now from the user point of view, it is unnoticeable whether you implement the OnTouch method or OnClick method because user is an end user and the user doesn't know which type of programming is used behind the application, means the behind the scenes what is actually going on. So users just want to use the application and enjoy it, but you need to avoid using both. That's the main point, because there are some developers try to use all the methods, means OnTouch as well as OnClick. If you do so, then it will complicate the process, means your application will become unstable and doesn't give the results that you want. In my piano application, I used the OnClickListener because it is simple to implement and easy to use, and it allows a better control as compared to OnTouch method. Now OnTouch makes the logic more complicated, that's why I avoid using the OnTouch method in my piano application. So that's the reason I choose the OnClickListener for my application. So that's all about this lecture. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next lecture. Thank you.